Hi everybody, today I want to talk about prenuptial agreements. Valentine's is next week and some of you will be maybe proposing or even getting married or planning the wedding or whatever you're going to be doing, and since you're in love you're not thinking of anything negative. I know that when we're in love we don't want to think about any bad stuff can happen. But guess what? I'm married to a family litigation lawyer, and all he's been doing for 30 years, nasty divorces. Some of them okay, but many are very nasty that end up in court. And why are they there? Um, because people can't agree, right? There are some issues that prenups are not going to cover, like custody of your children, especially custody of unborn children, right? Anything related to the children you cannot put in a prenuptial agreement. Maybe you can agree that you're not gonna relocate them to different country. I don't know. But anything related to their money, you can cover. You can discuss. You can discuss what will happen to the money that you already have, to the income that that money produce, or let's say you have some rental properties, or you have your own property, or you have a pension, or you have um, some savings in whatever way you have them, right? Like in some stock and some coins or whatever, jewelry, gold, doesn't matter. So, and you wanted to protect it. Let's say uh, you do have a house, right? And your spouse, and I'm not gonna talk about gender, like female or male, moving it, or the same sex couple, whatever. The rules apply to everybody here. So we're in Canada. The rules are the same for everybody, because I deal with a lot of immigrants and they would say, well, I'm the woman and let's say a child has to stay with me because back in Russia or Ukraine this is how it usually works out. And I say, well, we're not there, we're in Canada, different rules apply. And also the rules from different countries related to the property, they also differ. And the main rule that people don't know who come from, let's say, Russia or Ukraine, is the homestead. I had lots of videos about homestead. So sometimes people think if I own the property and somebody moves in and that person is not on title, that person has no rights to that property. But that's not correct. There's ways they can benefit then from that property, right? And in terms of a homestead, it's another, I will make another video about it, what rights will people have, and then how your estate will be dealing with that, because we have experience with that. And you need to, if you have kids or from previous relationship and now you have a second relationship, you want to protect your kids. So we're going to discuss that homestead and consequences later on. So also you want to think about spousal support situation. What if you're gonna have a different income? Let's say we have somebody who makes $200,000, $300,000 and somebody who makes only $50,000, and we know the situation, let's say, is not going to change, and at some point in life maybe you're going to get divorced. So the person who makes more money most likely will be paying a spousal support. Okay, so to protect yourself, you have to think about it and think about spousal support releases. Also, you want to think about releases on the estate. Again, I always recommend to have a prenup for everybody, but especially for somebody who is getting married a second time or going into common law relationship and already have kids from a previous relationship, because the laws related to estate can really hurt your kids if you don't have the waivers. So we can discuss that separately as well. What else we can talk about? Why prenups are important? So basically, yes, basically it's protect your property, money in any form, corporations. Very often we get comments from people saying, well, this is my corporation, it has nothing to do with this person, and so on. Well, that's not exactly true, because if you, let's say, got married or in a common law relationship and you opened a corporation, it could be a professional corporation, like maybe it's a dental office, right? Or it could be a real estate person who incorporated business, or it could be a lawyer, or it could be just any corporation that running a business. And for some reason, people think that because it's like a different entity, it's a corporation, and all shares belong only to the husband, let's say, or the wife, then it all belongs to them at the time of separation. And that's not correct, because this business was created during the marriage. So we're gonna look into those assets as well and see how we can divide it. So remember that the corporation incorporating your business is not gonna save you from the division of money. So what else? Like cottages, so anything that you have, or anything that you might inherit. And inheritance law is, again, a different subject. We can discuss in the video what happens if you inherited the money. There is like rules what will happen to that. You need to protect. And sometimes we can have a very simple prenuptial agreements that we can draft in a day or two, done, because unfortunately people think about it in the last minute. Somebody's buying a apartment or house and they want their spouse to move in, and it's not a spouse yet, or a future spouse to move in, let's say, and they don't want to share that property later with this person, so they need a prenuptial agreement. Sometimes a cohabitation agreement. Those we'll discuss later as well. What's the difference, right? And we can do those very quickly. But there's some that are very complicated, that involve a lot of money that people have, or very high salaries, and they could be unfair at the beginning, because let's say you have a person who makes lots of income, and then you have a person who doesn't have any income, and they're getting married, and that person has to, at the request of the high income person, has to waive the right for spousal support. Okay, while they live together, it's all good, and this woman, let's say, enjoying their luxury lifestyle and on, but then at the time of separation, she'll have no support, and she can't even maybe find a job, right? Let's say she is a mother of little kids, and the husband making money, then they're getting divorced, and she can't support herself if she waived her rights. So here we always come up with some ideas how can we establish that support. We can say, okay, if you live certain years and this person makes so much money, then maybe the support will be for so long, and that for so much, right? Or that's basically how you do it. Or you just don't sign it, and then if you don't sign, that person might not marry you, right? So sometimes I tell people that's a bad deal for you. Like, you cannot go into this relationship and then later, it's okay if it's in a year or two you get divorced, you're still young, you can establish your new life and so on, depending on this person. But if you're at 20 years later, this person finds somebody younger, or doesn't have feelings towards you anymore. Like, we don't judge anybody, right? So it doesn't matter what the reason is, and they separate. So you're maybe at age 60, 70, and you have no way of getting some new education or job, and you're getting no support. So you need to think kind of further in the distance, what will happen when kids grow up, or even if you have little kids, what will happen, who's going to support you. So in terms of the child support, that's not an issue. Like, we don't discuss it. You cannot in prenuptial agreement say that nobody's going to pay child support. That's not an issue. The same with the custody. You can discuss what will happen if you, let's say, have a house, you guys move in together, then this house is sold, a new house is bought, considering it's bought only on the name of the person who had this house, and so on. Like, what then? Who owns that house? Who is gonna benefit from proceeds of sale? So usually it's these assets are traced from one to another, from one to another. Like if something generates income, then if it's from the asset of person A, then it belongs to that person. So we have quite a bit of those paragraphs on prenuptial agreements that state that. And again, I always tell my clients, so it's not quite fair if a woman, because I put myself in this position, a woman moves into a man's house, right? Say, right? He has a house, it's on his name, and then she'll get nothing out of it because she didn't put the money into it. But she puts efforts to make it, I don't know, clean, to keep it clean, to make it nice. Maybe she buys new furniture or makes some renovations, helps with the renovation, or puts some her money into the house, and on and on and on. So it's not fair if she's gonna just walk away without anything. So we look into the situation and say, okay, what can she get at that point? So that's an option. She might get something, or they can say, okay, she will get, I don't know, certain amount of money, especially if this person helps financially to pay down your mortgage, right? Like then it's not fair if you end up with a equity in the house and she has to walk away with nothing. So when we come to this drafting prenuptial agreements, we look at all those questions, and we look at all your assets, we look at all your incomes, all different streams of incomes, and pension funds, and your potential to grow, and on and on and on. We look who is going to be with the kids, if you're going to have a kids, and and then we come up with this complex prenuptial agreement that is fair. I like to have fair prenuptial agreements. I don't like those that you get nothing. I think it's not fair, because I think the person who at that point doesn't bring anything to the relationship maybe will feel, I don't know, doesn't feel comfortable, maybe doesn't want to invest more into that property, into your life, because she or he knows that at the end they get nothing. I would probably think like that personally. So that's what you need to consider about prenup. Main thing is spousal support waivers, or structure for the spousal support. Then we have estate issues, and then we have property issues. And that's basically it. That's what we're protecting. And you should do it. And you should do it, because that will save you a lot of money at the time of divorce. Divorces are extremely expensive if you go through court. It doesn't guarantee that you're not gonna have a fight in court, because you'll have kids. You might have fight about the custody and child support and all that stuff. But talking about divorces, and my husband is phoning, and sorry, and he's a divorce lawyer, right? He's feeling that I'm talking about divorces, and at least you will have the settlement on the money issue, the division of property, all that stuff will be per that agreement. Of course, that could be a situation that people will try to set aside those agreements. That's why we insist that both parties have a lawyer, because we don't want anybody later on coming and saying, he forced me to sign it, I didn't understand, I didn't have a legal advice, I just was in love, I wanted to sign it. Or there's cases when there's a 3 days to the wedding or something, and he's forcing me to sign, so I had to sign it. I couldn't not sign it because he would cancel the wedding and we already have guests and all that stuff, everything is paid. So we look at all that situation, and the court will look at it. They will see the circumstances, what was happening. That's why we tell clients to start to think in advance, at least like 6 months, because by the time we negotiate between the lawyers, it can take quite a bit, and we want everybody to be happy with the results, sign it, and continue with their wedding or their just common law relationship without a wedding. So that's why I think about it in advance. Don't do it the last minute, because last minute is always stressful, and it can lead to the situation where later on maybe the court is going to look at it and will set aside that agreement, and you don't want it, because then it's going to be divided all per the rules of the province where you reside, right? So that's a little advice to you, and maybe when you know the rates that the lawyers charge for the divorces, you will think about it, because trial lawyers can charge up to or starting from 600 per hour. It's a lot of money, and if you're in a trial for several weeks in court, that comes to a huge amount out of your pocket. And then also you have to remember, if you lose, you have to pay cost per tariff for the other lawyer. So when people say, I don't want a prenup, I don't want to spend the money, this money really a great investment in your future, because you protect your future. I believe it's the greatest tool that for several $1,000s allow you to prevent many problems in the future. So think about it, because when I talk about it, my husband says like, well, if they don't want a prenup, they will just pay later. And that's true, like they pay more later, clients. But I think people should know about it, and I think they should prevent the situations as much as possible. It's like maybe buying an insurance, so you kind of protect yourself from whatever happens. I guess I've never compared prenuptial agreement as an insurance policy, but it is kind of in a way protects you, so your assets are protected. You don't have to pay a huge amount of spousal support. Some people probably gonna dislike me for this advice, but as a mother of boys, I always tell them, it's like, you guys have to be careful when you are gonna get into a relationship, because you never know. And paying spousal support can really be a burden and ruin your life. So therefore, but again, it has to be fair. As a prenuptial agreement, I believe, has to be fair. I don't like those, you get nothing. So that's all. Think about it. We can help you to look at your prenuptial agreement. We can draft it for you. We can give you more information, like a checklist if you're interested. What do you need to put in there? And we're never gonna, at least my office, we're never gonna agree to sign something with you if we didn't see the disclosure, or we didn't make sure that both parties say disclosure. What do I mean by that? It's like you have to actually show how much money or what investments or what pension plan or whatever you have or property, and disclose it to other party, because if the other party doesn't know or you're hiding something, that later can lead to an issue of setting aside that agreement. So you have to be honest with what you have, also with your debt, what kind of debt you have. So you have to come and show what you have, how much you owe, and the same with the other side, and then agree how you're gonna settle all the issues if you're gonna get divorced. So financial disclosure is a key. I believe it's a key. Otherwise, you don't know what are you saying no to. Maybe your fiance is a multimillionaire and you're waiving those rights, you don't even know. So or maybe somebody has a huge debt and don't know about it, and then you're gonna have a big surprise when they will start asking you to repay it and so on. But those topics we can talk later, because there's a lot of issues when people say, well, it was his debt, he was gambling, it was his debt before the marriage, well, I shouldn't be responsible, and on and on and on. We can go into details for each of those questions in our further videos. Contact us if you need any help with the prenups. Bye.